Okay, this video I'm just going to describe a little bit about how I might work with the pen tool. Just as a basic introduction, your pen tool strips out into the normal pen tool, plus pen tool, minus pen tool, so you've got add anchor point and delete anchor point, and then to something called the anchor point tool, often known as the convert tool or the caret tool. So I'm going to take the pen tool. The pen tool allows me to create a closed shape. This is a closed shape, and of course all of these shapes are closed shapes. The pen tool allows me to add, so I can add in anchor points, and they can be moved at a later date, and also to remove anchor points. While I'm using the pen tool, it allows me to do the same. So there's not really any specific reason to have this stripped out in order to use it, unless you're doing a lot of this activity. Because actually, your pen tool will allow you to add and remove. Will allow you to add and remove anchor points anyway. So if I draw any shape, as I say, this is a closed shape, then I can approach the path and add additional anchor points. And I can approach the anchor points and remove existing anchor points. Now this tool here allows me to convert, so I can convert what's known as a corner point, these are all corner points, into a smooth point. And vice versa. So if I now click again, it goes back to a corner point. A path requires 2 anchor points, and that gives me a line. To stop it going any further, so for instance, if I wanted another line over here, I end up getting this kind of thing. If I want to stop it, I can either go back to click into the pen tool, or I could swap over into the selection tool. But actually it's just as easy to press enter or return on your keyboard, and that will do the same thing. So I can join an existing path by approaching the anchor point, and I get that little slash. The star means fresh, fresh path. The slash means that it allows me to join, again, the same path. Be careful, as you can see I'm now hiding the rest of my drawing because I have a white fill. So just make sure that you have the fill and stroke that you need when you're drawing. Often I turn off the fill until I need it. This is a closed path, and this is an open path. It allows, just show you, if I try to put a colour inside this, colour inside this, you can see we've got a stroke going all the way around, but in this case the stroke finishes here, and this is the open part of the path. So drawing a more complex scenario might include using lines and curves as we go along. Let's get rid of that colour. Let's say I'm tracing a complex object, I might need all of this kind of thing. And as I go along, if I needed to make an adjustment further back, I could hold down Alt and make an adjustment to that handle. Okay. As I'm drawing, making fresh anchor points, when I create a curve, I get these 2 anchor points. So let's just take sorry, 2 handles. Let's just take a closer look at what's actually happening. Even when I make a line, there are forces on both of these anchor points. So you have a force going upwards and a force going downwards. If I pull the handle, once I click an anchor point and pull the handle upwards, oops, that's indicating that I want to create a curve. And you can see now the preview is actually showing a curve. If I just simply click now, that's the curve that will be drawn. Okay, and you can see it's heavy on this side. It's going up and more, it's much more of a considered curve than the other side, the right hand side. To get an equal curve, so I want something a bit more symmetrical, I need to think about creating a curve with an upward motion, upward, and then in order to get the other side, I don't pull up this time, I actually pull down. And if you think about it, if you think about what's happening, I'm pulling up in the direction that I want the curve to start, so I want it to go upwards. I can actually hold Shift and that will stop it from going off in an awkward angle. And then what I want to do is actually pull down, because the curve is now going down, and I want to pull down, pushing up that handle so that it matches the original handle that I made. You can hold Shift again to constrain it, and we get much more of an equal curve. Now you can see that because I pulled down, that if I try to make another anchor point, I'm going to get that lopsided curve again. So we've got the downward motion affecting the left hand side of the curve, and then it tapers off to this point here. Now again, if I wanted it to be an equal curve, I would simply pull, or a symmetrical curve, I would simply pull up and match that handle at the bottom as far as I can, and we get that kind of motion. Now you can see, because I've sent it up, the next curve is going upwards. Now what if I wanted a straight line? Well, in order to tell it you are finished with the curves, what you do is hover over the anchor point and click once. Okay, you see the little convert tool that's appeared? That allows me to convert this from a smooth point, curves, to a corner point. And now I can make a straight line, hold Shift, and it will pull it into a perfectly straight line. So again, if I wanted another curve, it's going to be lopsided. So if I want an equal curve, I need to click and pull up and click and pull down and match that handle. So finally, what if I wanted to create something like this shape, the sort of famous McDonald's arches? That's a bit trickier, and we need to add in something new into the mix. So I'm going to initially make the first curve. That's very easy. Okay, so just match that. And of course you could use your guides to generate perfection. But now you can see I've got this twist here. So it wants to come down, right? Now I should be able to come in. There's my convert tool on top of the anchor. And I should be able to click and pull up, but look what happens. It just interferes. It cannot cope with what I'm asking it to do. Even if I address it first, just click and then click and pull up to address the next curve, still can't do it. So what I'm going to add in is I'm going to hold Alt as I click and pull up. I'm going to match this handle here and then click and pull down and match that handle too. And then we get the famous McDonald arches.